In this project, I am varying the speed control of a DC motor using a potentiometer, and the circuit diagram is, the connection diagram is shown here. For this, I am using a L298N motor driver. You can see here it has got input 1 pin, input 2 pin, input 3 and input 4. I am using in 1 and in 2 pins, and enable pin I am using. So the first two pins, this is the enable. For the last 2 pins, there is one more enable here. And this is the power supply section, 12 volts ground. And here the third one is a plus 5 volts that I am not using. And these two are output terminals for a DC motor. Here you can connect out 1 and out 2. And here also you can do the connection for motor if you have 2 motors. Then the speed of this DC motor I am varying with the help of the potentiometer. I am using one potentiometer here. And I have used 1 kilo ohm pot. If you have 10 kilo ohm pot, you use 10 kilo ohm pot. We will get the speed variation very nicely in this project. And to run the motor, I need 12 volts supply. For that, I'm using one 12 volts DC adapter. And to control all these operations, we require a microcontroller. So I'm using Arduino Uno. So one breadboard to make common ground and all. So first you do the ground and power supply connection. Bring 5 volts pin. From this, you connect one wire to the positive rail on the breadboard. And ground of the Arduino Uno board, you connect on the ground rail on the breadboard. And the DC adapter negative terminal that is connected to ground. And pot, let me explain first this. The DC adapter negative is connected to the ground rail on the breadboard, and the positive it is connected to plus 12 volts supply on the DC motor. So this DC motor driver requires 12 volt supply. So I am getting from here. And the ground of the DC motor driver, it is also connected to the breadboard. And enable pin of motor, it is written on the motor driver. You can check out and do the connection. The enable pin of the motor driver, it is connected to pin number 10 on the Arduino Uno board. In one purple wire, it is connected to pin number 8. In 2, it is connected to pin number 9. Then potentiometer has got 3 pins. The first pin you connected to VCC and the last one to ground. This you can do vice versa also, no issue. And the middle one is a signal pin. It is connected to A0 pin on the breadboard. This is all about connection. Motor, you should connect between out 1 and out 2 terminal. So this is about the connection diagram. And the code is procedure I have written neatly how to do the connection. So you go through the procedure. And in code, I'm declaring a variable A where I'm connecting to in one pin, that is to pin number 8. And pin number 9, I'm declaring it as B. And enable pin 10. And A0 pin, I have connected the potentiometer center terminal. For that, I'm giving a variable pot. And I'm using two variables X and Y in order to read the pot value. I'm declaring X, and in order to, I have to map the two values because pot value varies from 0 to 1023. And that I have to map with the motor speed. That is duty cycle from 0 to 255. In order to map that, I'm using one more variable Y. So all the pins except pin number 10, A0, I'm making them as output. Pin number 8 as output, pin number 9 output pin number 10 also output. Pin number A0, it is an input because the signal is coming from the pot. So for that purpose, I'm making it as input pin. And first I'll read the pot value using the analog read. Why it is analog? Because when I vary the shaft of the potentiometer, its value continuously changes. For that purpose, I'm using analog read and saving that value into X. And this X value, I should map with the 0 to 255, that is maximum speed and minimum speed of the DC motor. So the X value ranges from 0 to 1023 in pot, and it is from 0 to 255 for the maximum speed. Since the Arduino Uno board has 10-bit ADC, for that purpose, I am getting the range 0 to 1023. And the duty cycle of a motor should vary from 0 to 100%. In this case, 0 means 0% means 0 and 100% is 255. And the X value from 0 to 123, it should be mapped with the 0 to 255 of a DC motor, and that value we are storing it in Y. So now we will send high to A and low to B. A means in one and B is in two, and then the motor starts rotating in one direction. Then I should give this value to enable pin. So enable pin, it is connected to pin number 10. So the value, it is given analog write. This value we are writing it to enable pin. So as the value Y value varies, the enable pin will give the signal to the DC motor to rotate it. So this is about the programming. Now we will upload the program. The same program I have written in Arduino IDE software. Now I have to choose the port and board. In Arduino Uno board, I am selecting Arduino Uno board, and COM3 port is selected for my Arduino Uno. Now I will upload the program. So done compiling, and it is uploading also done. Now we will check the output. So, and one more thing, I have done a video on varying the speed of the DC motor using PWM technique. That video link I have shared in the description box. And one more video I have done to explain what is the difference between controlling the speed of the DC motor using a potentiometer and controlling the speed of the DC motor using a PWM technique. So what is the difference and where exactly they are used? What are the applications for speed control of DC motor using potentiometer and speed control of DC motor using PWM technique? So that also I have done, and the link is shared in the description box. You can go through that. That is theoretical part. This is experimental part. In this experiment, I am using L298N motor driver in order to run the 12 volts DC motor. And breadboard, why I am using, because I want to make all the ground pins common. For that purpose, I am using breadboard. And I have already explained how to do the connection. Accordingly, you do the connection. And here I am using a potentiometer in order to vary the speed of the DC motor. And I'm using 12 volts adapter here. 12 volts adapter I am using, and I have cut this wire into two parts, and one wire I am connecting to 12 volt supply and another one to ground. Now I'll turn on the power supply. The motor is rotating now. Now I'll vary the pot. You can observe the speed. See, the speed is maximum now. I'll rotate the pot in other direction. The speed is reducing. So I can increase the speed, I can decrease the speed with the help of the potentiometer.